F. Scott Fitzgerald was one of the 20th century's greatest writers.
F. Scott Fitzgerald perfectly captured America in the 1920s.
He's also known as the author of one of the greatest novels of all time, The Great Gatsby.
Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald was born in St. Paul, Minnesota on September 24, 1896.
Because of his devotion to his writing in college, his academics suffered and he had to leave after 3 years, and he joined the Army.
Fitzgerald was discharged from the Army in 1919 and moved to New York City. He published his first novel a year later.
This Side of Paradise was an immediate bestseller and made him incredibly wealthy. A week after the novel was published, he felt comfortable asking Zelda to marry him, and they eventually had a daughter, Frances Scott Fitzgerald.
It was the novel of the period, 1920, the beginning of what we call, and he called, the Jazz Age. And it said that the initial printing in the first year or two sold over 50,000 copies, which was an enormous amount.
In 1924, Fitzgerald moved to France, hoping to spark his creativity. A year later, he published his greatest work, The Great Gatsby.
The word Gatsby has entered the American vocabulary. You will see people described as Gatsby-like. The event was like Gatsby party. The word Gatsby now means something. It is still probably the biggest selling great American classic.
Fitzgerald was halfway through his final novel, The Last Tycoon, subsequently known as The Love of the Last Tycoon, when he died of a heart attack on December 21, 1940.
In my opinion, he is the greatest writer of the 20th century. You can take the Fitzgerald sentence and you want to reread it because it's so beautiful. If you take the last lines of Gatsby, so we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past, who ever wrote a sentence like that?
F. Scott Fitzgerald captured something essential about America with a glint of wit as reflected in a champagne glass. He's our great American writer.
The moon rose higher, and as I stood there brooding on the old, unknown world, I thought of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out the green light at the end of Daisy's dock. He had come such a long way, and his dream must have seemed so close that he could hardly fail to grasp it. But he did not know that it was already behind him. Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgastic future that year by year recedes before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms farther, and one fine morning, so we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past.